Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders Wrestling. I am Jamie, he is Callum, and our guest, he is the Synergy World Champion, Brandon Kirk. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, should I have the belt with me? I forgot the belt.
You've got the belt.
Why not?
It's in my car. It's too far away. It's just
fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll let you off. Maybe next time. We'll let you off this once. So how are you, man? How's things? How are you?
Things are okay, I guess. I don't really do much. I just kind of sit here in this void of my house. That's about it.
Dude, that's all I've done for the last month. Like, I don't do anything. But we're in lockdown at the moment, national lockdown.
Oh, you guys are in lockdown right now.
Yeah, but my life's no different. That's what I did before lockdown anyway. So I don't do anything. So pretty much the same as usual. What's it like for you? Because obviously, can you still train at the moment? Can you still do?
Yeah, I can. I choose not to, I guess.
Yeah.
The less that I have to be around people, the better. Well, I mean, like you, I don't really do much anyway. Like, I go to work, I have my shoot job, I come home, and I play video games. That's the extent of what I do.
Not a bad life, to be fair, mate.
Yeah, I'm with you totally on the whole people thing. I try to be around people as less as I can as well. So I'm with you on that one. Totally with you on that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, it's back in lockdown over here. Where I think we've got at least 2 more weeks, and then they're going to see what's going on. But I think it's going to go on for longer. But
yeah,
we shall see. But
yeah, we're just about to go down into another lockdown right now because nobody fucking listens. Nobody listens. Everybody does whatever they want to do, and it's just making it worse. Like, I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of people who don't believe in masks here. It's like a political thing, and they just don't wear them. And
dude,
it's just making things worse.
I went to the shop today. The only time I've really been out is just to get food from the shop, and the amount of people you see not wearing masks, not distancing, not using the hand sanitizer that you get in the shops or anything. So many people just think it's not real, and I don't know what the logic is, because it's definitely real. It's not a big hoax to fool the world. It's real. And the reason that we're in lockdown again is because people don't take it seriously. So it's crazy. It's not just America, mate. It's the same over here.
Yeah. And Brandon, I work at the hospital, so I'm seeing it on a daily basis.
Oh,
It's a real.
My mom works at the hospital too. So.
Really?
Yeah. It's a real thing. It's bad. But anyway, why are we talking about that? Anyway, let's talk some wrestling. Anyway, what we're doing here? What we're doing here? God. Before we get into Synergy and Colin, and literally we spoke to Colin, and I think it took us about an hour before we spoke about wrestling. We were talking about British comedies.
He loves to talk.
He loves to talk, right?
So what was your journey into wrestling? What got you hooked then?
I mean, obviously, I grew up a fan like most people do. And, I guess, I'm trying to think how old, I think I was like 18 years old. And I had a buddy at the time who was actually a pro wrestler. And I was just like, fuck it, why not? Like, I shot him a message on Facebook, and I was like, how do I do this? Like, how do I get involved? And he's like, oh, just come to the show. And, you could train and whatnot, and you can do this. It's like, I didn't realize it was that easy. And I just showed up to this local shindy show one day, and then just started training, and it just kind of got the ball rolling from there. So that's kind of how I started.
What was the show you went to? Can you remember the promotion?
Yeah, it was called NWS, National Wrestling Superstars.
Right.
It was the carniest of carny type shows. And I stayed there for a couple of years. Like, that's, before I ended up going to, the CZW school to start training there.
Yeah.
Most of the extent of my training was just before shows. So I'd go to shows, I'd get in the ring, I'd hop in and train a little bit and get on shows where I was not anywhere near ready to be on them. But that's just kind of how it was. And then as time went on, I was like, okay, I need to get some real training and formal training. That's kind of when I went to the CZW.
I feel like everybody starts with a carny promotion when they start training. It's a rite of passage. You have to experience the carny side of wrestling to appreciate good training.
Exactly. Like I could go back to when I first, like 2011. I can go watch videos on YouTube and I cringe. I can't watch them. I can't do it.
Yeah,
bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, Callum's experienced the whole the carny stuff over here, haven't you? With because Callum did a bit of training himself at one point. And
I did. I trained. It's about 14 years ago now. I was 16 when I started training, and I trained for 4 years. I had about 80 matches, and it was so carny, dude. I mean, the promoter that we had, he was called the Urban Warrior, and he used to wear this. He had a cane mask, and he painted it green, and he called himself the Big Green Machine. And we used to have this list on the internet called the Shit Ass 50, which was the 50 worst wrestlers in the UK, and every year he was number one.
Oh my god!
I was trained by the worst wrestler in the UK. That's my claim to fame. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I can imagine, like, with yourself, when you first started training, what did you think of the first bumps that you took? And when you first run the ropes, was it worse than you imagined it would be?
I mean, I guess a little bit, because, you know, when obviously never being in a wrestling ring before, you don't really know what to anticipate. Yeah. Like, you know what you see on TV. And, like, the athletic side, I got down relatively easy because I was an athlete growing up. So that was the easiest part for me. I mean, the bumps obviously suck. And, you know, running the ropes wasn't too bad, but I feel like I was able to pick up on it pretty quickly just having that athletic background, you know?
Yeah, it helps if you have that background, doesn't it? Just any kind of sports background really helps. I didn't. Yeah, exactly. I'm not an athlete. It's why I quit. But with yourself, what did you do before wrestling? Was it football or?
So I was a basketball player most of my life. I feel like that more than anything helped me, especially like with footwork, just footwork in the ring, like basketball.
Definitely.
Like
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's weird, but I feel basketball was definitely a thing, and I was a baseball player too through high school also. But I feel like the basketball is really what helped me, like with my footwork. So.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Like, but thinking about it, yeah, you need good footwork to be a basketball player, don't you? So It makes sense because you need good footwork to be a pro wrestler too.
Yep.
So obviously, you said you moved on to CZW then as well. I mean, what was that like? Who trained you as well there?
So when I went there, Joe Gacy was there training, who's he's in WWE now. Oddly enough, Masada would show up every once in a while, and he was terrified. Like, and like, you know, when I started training, Drew Gulak was there too. Drew Gulak from WWE. But I would show up there, and Masada would be waiting in the ring. I'm like, oh fuck, like, oh shit. Is he going to stick skewers in my head? Like, is that what this training session is going to be? And, like, I get in there and roll around him, and he's really good. Like, if you've seen any of his, like, regular matches, non-deathmatch, like, he's an excellent – I learned so much just from him, just rolling around, just chaining with him, because he's really an incredible wrestler. And, obviously, Drew Gulak, he's a genius, and Joe Gacy, guys like that, so – I mean, obviously knowing the background, like growing up a CZW fan too, like I expected to go in there and get light tubes broken on me as my training, but like it was legit, and I learned a lot going there.
Yeah, because obviously we spoke to Alexander James a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned as well CZW and Drew Gulak, and like you said yourself there, I mean, Drew Gulak is a very underrated guy. I mean, you must like, you know, what was it like having that learning tree in front of you?
It's great. I mean, who better? Like, especially in a technical wrestling terms, like Gulak is one of the best. Absolutely one of the best. And like, you know, you don't even have to get in the ring with him. Just listening to him talk. Like, just listening to talk is just fascinating, the stuff that comes out of his mouth. Like, even before I started, like, I wasn't doing the Dojo Wars shows because he was kind of booking the CZW Dojo Wars, and I wasn't on those shows, but, like, I would just go and watch and, like, listen to him talk to the guys and explain things to them, and it's mind-blowing because I had never experienced anything like that before. Like, I came from carny, shitty wrestling promotion in New Jersey, and then I go and like to listen to him. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm learning so much. I'm not doing anything. It's great.
Yeah.
Drew Gulak, to me, I've said this many times on the show before. He reminds me a lot of Kurt Angle in the way that he can do comedy, but he can do serious, but he's also a great technician. You know, and he's 100% legit as well. So do you feel like his style's influenced your style in the ring at all?
A little bit. I mean, I'm kind of more, you know, obviously I do the crazy deathmatch stuff, and you know, I'm more of a brawler than anything. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely learned, like, just from listening to him, definitely implemented some things like in submissions and transitions and stuff like that from listening to him. So yeah, I would say so. A little bit. Really.
Speaking of the death matches, I mean, we've got to mention it. I mean, you've been up against some of the greatest deathmatch wrestlers of all time, really. You've had the chance to step into the ring with Nick Gage before, and Nick Gage, I mean, I've never met Nick Gage, never spoken to him, only ever heard about what people have said and seen him on TV. But he seems like he's not a character at all. He's just Nick Gage, right?
He's just Nick. Yeah, like, you know, obviously when he goes out there, he turns it on. Yeah. And when he turns it on, he is on. But, you know, I'm friends with Nick, and Nick is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
Really?
And I'm sure anybody that you talk to will say the same thing. And he cares more about wrestling and the people around him than anything else. Like, when I was working at GCW, just he would be in the locker room just pumping guys up and like just coming over, slapping you and getting you ready, hyping you up, and like he's the ultimate hype man. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy how pumped up you get from him, just from him shoving you around, telling you, let's fucking go, like, let's do this.
To be
and
fair,
like, I'm like, yeah, okay, like I'm ready to go. You know,
I can imagine he would be a great hype.
He cares so much. He cares so much about fans. Oh yeah, if Nick Gage tells you, like, and he's like, I'm gonna be watching your match out there. I'm like, oh God, I can't suck. I can't suck. But you know, he loves everybody that's around him. He loves the fans. Like, he's the ultimate hype man. Ultimate.
I did find that interesting though, like looking at your match history, the people that you've been in the ring with. I mean, you some great talent, and it speaks volumes about yourself as a performer, because there's
some weird ones on there.
What's that? Sorry.
There's some weird ones on there.
Yeah, I mean, you've had the greats, like I said, Nick Gage. You've had Chris Dickinson, who we've had the chance to speak to as well. Incredible performer. You've also wrestled Puff.
Yes.
And we had the chance to speak to Puff, and what a nice guy. He's absolutely lovely.
Great.
Yeah, great guy.
You can't not love Puff.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't heard of him up until a few months ago when he was on Dynamite. And I was like, we need to speak to this guy. And now he's one of my favorite people. I just think he's so likable. But you've been in the ring with some great people. I mean, like I said, it speaks volumes about yourself as a performer that you've been in the ring with all this talent. Do you have a favorite memory, like looking back at your career so far? Who's like the person who's really brought your A game out of you?
I'd say there's a 1A and 1B.
Right.
So Nick Gage, obviously. Nick is one of the best people I've ever been in the ring with. And like, when you're wrestling Nick, like, you got to be on your A game. You have to. And then probably the next one would be Masashi Takeda. He's hands down probably the best deathmatch wrestler in the world at the moment. Yeah. And like, getting in the ring with him was probably the biggest honor that I've ever had in wrestling up until this point. And that's probably my all-time favorite match too. I know it's like a crazy death match, a lot of blood, a lot of gore, but he brought the absolute best out of me, and it's definitely the best death match that I've ever had. And so Masashi Takeda for sure.
What is it about death matches then? Like, I know it's an acquired taste for fans, and I'm sure it's an acquired taste for the wrestlers too. But what is it about deathmatch wrestling in general that really drew you to it? Was it the ultra violence? Was it that it's so different to regular wrestling, or was it just, what was it that drew you to it?
I don't know. I feel like it's just the thrill of it, I guess. Like, just the reaction that you get from people, because I didn't get into wrestling anticipating, getting cut up by glass.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I signed up for. And it just kind of fell into my lap. When I started doing it, like, I wasn't even supposed to be in the match that I was in. I was working for GCW at the time, and somebody didn't show up. And, Brett asked me if I wanted to wrestle Jimmy Lloyd in a no rope barbed wire match. I said, sure, why not? And then, like, I did it, and, like, it was good. And I had never done anything like that before. And afterwards, I was like, man, I really like this. Like, it hurts. Everything hurts. But, like, just the adrenaline rush that you get from doing it, it's like, you can't even explain it. Like, I can't even compare it to anything. It's like, well, I guess it's like a drug. It really is like a drug.
That makes
sense. It's
so
hard to explain, but just the feeling that you get when you do it, like, it's the ultimate drug.
Because from a fan point of view, I've seen some pretty brutal death matches live, and I saw Jimmy Havoc versus Paul Robinson in Progress last year. I mean, from a deathmatch point of view, incredible. But there's a part of me as a fan where when I watch it, I'm so worried that something's going to happen and they're going to die, or they're going to end up seriously hurt. And I love watching it. I'm like, this is great. I respect it. There's a part of me which really doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. But from a wrestler's point of view, do you ever get that? Like, do you have that kind of dread inside you, or are you just excited for the match?
For the most part, I'm pretty much just excited for it. I mean, there's a couple things that, like, I did and that I was preparing to do that I was a little nervous about beforehand. But for the most part, I mean, when you think of the guys that are good and know what they're doing, guys like, Alex Colon and Nick Gage and Takeda and guys like that know what they're doing, they're not going to go out there and do something and Ricky Shane Page and guys like that. And, they're not going to go out there and do something that's going to get them seriously hurt. I mean, everything that we do can potentially get us seriously hurt, but these guys are professionals. Like, they know what they're doing. So I feel like at least most of us don't really anticipate getting seriously hurt. Besides the handful of big things that we decide to do. I mean, I don't, at least. Like, I don't go out there thinking, like, oh, this could probably kill me. Like, if that's the case, I'm probably not going to do it. I guess if
you did think that, you'd never wrestle again, really, would you?
Like, yeah, exactly. I would just kind of live in fear. I wouldn't be a deathmatch wrestler for sure.
Yeah.
I would just live in fear my whole life. Like, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, and obviously, you touched on, obviously, competing for GCW. What was that experience like with GCW? Because obviously, I've noticed with the pandemic, a lot of indie companies have sort of come to the forefront of wrestling, and I think GCW have been one of the companies that have been leading that charge. What was it like working with GCW?
It was really cool, honestly, because so in 2013, GCW was JCW at one point. It was Jersey Championship Wrestling before the name changed, and I was with JCW up until the name change and then through. So to see it grow from kind of like a small, halfway decent indie promotion in Jersey to like this worldwide phenomenon that it is now, like, I saw that entire progression turning into this, crazy company that it is now. And it was wild. It was a wild ride just to see where it went from, because, it was almost like overnight to where it was a small indie promotion and we were having random old retired WWF guys on the show, like Tito Santana was the main event, to, oh, here's the first Nick Gage Invitational Deathmatch tournament the next day.
Didn't Jim Duggan wrestle there too at one point?
Oh yeah, I tagged with him. Right. No, actually, I wrestled Jim Duggan. It was me and Cannonball versus Janela and Jim Duggan. The weirdest match ever. It was so weird. But yeah, it goes from that to what it is now. It was like almost overnight. I mean, the development to what it is now wasn't overnight, but like just the way that the styles changed was like overnight. And like you could tell, like from that first Nick Gage Invitational, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show. Like you could tell, like that's where it all changed.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I've got to ask you as well. Now you mentioned it, what was it like actually working with Jim Duggan? I mean, that's a Hall of Famer.
I mean, it was really cool. Like, he had a lot of cool stories to tell, and he was just like this really charismatic dude, like just hanging out in the locker room like one of the boys. Like, he wasn't like a, trying to big time us and like have some locker room. I mean, we were at a fair, so we were all in a tent, and he was just sitting with his briefcase open, smoking a cigarette, just hanging out with us. Like, it was cool. He was really cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Jim Duggan. He came up to the UK a few years ago. He was doing a live speaking tour with Ted DiBiase, so I got to meet them both at the same time. He was just such a fun guy. He tried to steal my now ex-wife at the time. If I'd known back then, he could have had her. But it was just such a fun guy, really cool, really funny. But another guy I wanted to ask you about is someone that I've only recently really become more familiar with. He's worked with, is it Jimmy Lloyd? What was it like working with him?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's because it's still going on. And, Jimmy and I started this thing back in like 2013 or 2014 or something like that. That's when it started with the no real barbed wire match. And then it jumped over to CZW, and then we did the square circle sacrifice match, and then then the NGI 2, and then Cage of Death, and then we did it again at ICW. Like, I don't think I have better chemistry with anybody else than I do with Jimmy. Like, you could, like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, whenever we get in the ring, like, we bring out the best in each other, I like to think, even though we just beat the living shit out of each other every time. We definitely bring out the best in each other.
Do you feel like he's that opponent that every wrestler has, where it's like, you're destined to do this forever with him?
Yeah. Forever. Like, I even thought about, like, after we thought after Cage of Death, all right, it's over, it's finally done, we can move on, and then 2 months later we're wrestling each other again at ICW. Like, it's never going to end. I've accepted that, though.
You're the John Cena and the Randy Orton of the independents.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just never going to end.
No.
Yeah, no, as I say, I think obviously with the pandemic, like I said, I've really sort of picked up and started watching a lot more of Jimmy due to the pandemic, and I've really been enjoying watching him, and I've been watching some of your matches with him as well. And he, like you said, the chemistry is just great, and I'm sure I'm going to get to see it again because, like you said, you're never going to get rid of him, are you? So I mean,
no. You will for sure. The only thing I'm not going to do is he does some stupid shit though. Like, I'm glad he doesn't try and pull that with me. Like, if he would have said, "Hey, let's bring out the you want to do the scissor board?" No, Jimmy, I don't want to do the scissor board. I don't.
No.
Did you see how that happened?
Yeah. Oh, dude, not a chance.
Nope. I am more than willing to do some dumb shit. I got thrown off the Cage of Death through fire and glass and whatever, but scissors, no, I'm good. No scissors.
Yeah.
Syringes, I won't do either. No thanks.
No.
I feel like there's a difference. Again, this is just me speaking, and from a fan's point of view, I could be completely wrong. But at least if you're getting thrown off something, you can try and bump it. If you're getting bumped onto scissors, you can't really bump on scissors.
No, you can't.
It doesn't take much. There's not much room for error. Like, so yeah. I'd rather get thrown off the cage.
Oh yeah. Did you guys see the clip of Takeda with the knife board?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It looked like a mouth coming out of his back. Like,
it looked like he had gills. Like he was a fish. It was awful.
Oh.
Yeah, I work at the hospital, and I've seen things, and even that made me wince when I saw that. Yeah, I had to look away. That was just But moving on. Obviously, Synergy. Before we get to Colin and how much he likes to talk, like you said, how did Synergy come about? How did you end up there?
Well, I started wrestling for Colin. So he probably talked to you about the CTW promotion that he had earlier on. It was just kind of
he barely spoke about wrestling when he was on, to be honest.
Okay. So originally
we had to get him to plug his own show coming up next week. So
oh, good. So kayfabe, I guess. Colin and I are actually very good friends. And years ago he started running this promotion called CZW. It was kind of a charity show that he would run every couple months for cystic fibrosis. And in I guess on paper it's a great idea. Fundraiser for cystic fibrosis, great. But it wasn't really drawing well. Like, there were shows where he would run a show and 10 people would show up, and like him and I would talk about it, and like we're like, we got to change something. Like, we got to do something different. Like, what you're doing is not working. And the fundraiser thing is great, but it's it's not going to do much for your business. It's not really helping anybody right now. Mm-hmm. So then he decided, we talked about it, and he decided, like, okay, I'm going to just do a whole facelift and just start over. And he started Synergy, and I started working there right away from the first show, and just kind of like GCW, just kind of watching it progress from something small to what it is at this point. Because obviously there was a learning curve at the beginning, because he was kind of still going in the same direction that the original promotion was, just booking the same people and bringing in the same name talent and stuff like that. And then as time went on, he started realizing, okay, these are the guys I need to have on my show. This is the way I want to present my show. And that's how we got to what Synergy is now. So it was cool. It was really cool to watch it progress.
Yeah, they're doing great work, Synergy. I mean, I know we said, like, we didn't really speak about wrestling much with Colin, but you can tell how passionate he is about it. He loves it. He's such a good. He's very humble. Like, they've got a good person in charge of it. Cares a lot about his talent. So it makes a change. Seeing someone so passionate about the promotion that they're running. So, like Colin, like you said, he can speak. We spoke to him for about an hour and a half. We said we'll go half an hour. We got an hour in. We hadn't even spoken about wrestling. And then at the end,
nothing ever goes a half an hour. Come on, I don't know what you guys were anticipating. Has anyone ever gone a half an hour for you guys?
Yeah.
Really?
So.
But that was one of the longer ones. So in some cases, you just end up talking loads, and you go for about 45 minutes, an hour or so. Colin, at an hour, he'd only just started talking about Synergy. And I was like, I like this dude. He's a funny guy.
Yeah. We literally spent the first hour talking about his love of British comedies and like Taskmaster and things like that. And we just, I'm sure you're aware of his love of British comedies, aren't you?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an Anglophile.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were just reeling off like British comedy after comedy after comedy, and it was just, we'd say, oh, let's talk some wrestling, and then we'd be like, oh, have you seen this British comedy? And then we started talking about that, and it was just, it was so much fun though. We had so much fun talking to him, and we're coming back on at some point, and we're gonna work on some merch with him as well, aren't we, Callum?
Yeah, we're doing a line of Synergy t-shirts. For the store that we run. We run a store called Super Kicks. So,
like one with my face on it?
Well, that's where I was going to go with this. What we spoke to Colin about was doing the t-shirts for the talent as well. So doing talent t-shirts for our store. And I think it would only be fitting if we had the world champion of Synergy in the store.
I mean, I'm not going to say no to that. It sounds pretty good to me.
We'll send you a contract. You can read the fine print. We'll sort out the logistics of it. We'll make you a good offer.
Okay. Sell away my soul to you guys.
Yeah. We take 100%.
What I said to that, Brandon, is fuck what he says. No contract. Let's just make some money. All right, that's
I'm all about it.
There we go. That's the way it is. I've got to keep him grounded. That's all. We're let's make some dosh.
You are worse. You are worse than Michael Cole when you're speaking. Like, honestly, it's absolute drivel that comes out your mouth sometimes.
That's a low bar. That's a really low bar.
Wow. Yeah. Let's just, like, in Michael Cole's defense, he has got an old man in his ear. Let's remember that. All right.
Yeah.
The guy. Yeah.
What about the rest of the carbon copies of him?
That's true. I don't even know the names anymore. They're just all blend into one voice.
Yeah, just one person.
Yeah.
I know. Oh God. Yeah. I don't understand why Vince just doesn't go back onto commentary himself. It'd be so much easier.
He'd be in his own ear somehow. He'd still be shouting at himself in his own ear, like micromanaging himself. He'd find a way.
But obviously, as well, Brandon, Black Friday's coming up. Synergy's pay-per-view. Tell us about it. You're defending the title?
I am defending the title. Who am I defending? Oh, yeah, Eric Corbus. Eric, and I've wrestled Eric probably at least 100 times at this point. 100 matches that probably nobody has seen. So I probably know him just as well as I do Jimmy. And that match is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to beat the shit out of each other, like we always say that we're going to do. And it's going to be gross and it's going to be hard hitting. No blood because we're not allowed to bleed in the building. But that's definitely one that you're going to want to watch because we're going to literally beat the fuck out of each other. It's going to be awesome. And my wife is going to win the Cruiserweight crown on that night. So
yes.
Yeah, we spoke about that with Colin. So you'd be a power couple in Synergy.
Yes, we would.
Wow. That's yeah. We did talk about that with Colin. Yeah, the Triple H and Stephanie of Synergy. Yeah.
Yes. Now that would be a great T-shirt to have as the two of us. I did have a design that we wanted to do. It was us in our when we got married, like my suit and her wedding dress, and it said "Till Death Do Us Part," and like I was all bloody and she had a kendo stick. It was sweet. I want to get those shirts made.
I like that.
Well, I mean, send the design our way, and we can make that shit happen, man. We can make that happen. It's like, yeah, Colin's really on board as well, isn't he, Callum? He was so up for this. I mean, genuinely, we're happy to put anything in the store. Let's all make some money. It's, that's how it works, man.
Let's fleece the marks of all the money.
I am the
biggest mark there is.
I need more. Like, I'm terrible with like merch and stuff. Like, I need more designs and more shirts and stuff anyway. So I'm all about it.
Sweet.
That we do, man.
Before we wrap up, it's only fair that we ask about the future as well, because we've asked about how you got here, what you're currently doing with Synergy. Going forwards, I mean, post-pandemic, do you have any goals other than, obviously you want to defend the Synergy Championship for as long as you can, but do you have any goals for next year in, like, wrestling on AEW Dark, for example, or, because that's happening a lot at the moment. A lot of indie names are getting a spotlight on AEW Dark. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. Doing something like that, working for places like Ring of Honor. I don't think WWE is in the cards for me, mostly because I don't think they'd have any interest in the stuff that I do. And a lot of what I'm trying to do at this point, at least for the last 2 or 3 years, is to, I guess, show the type of style that I want to present, which is more of a hybrid style. So, like, to show people that I can do the deathmatch stuff when I need to, and I can wrestle. Like, and I guess good examples of that were wrestling Tony Deppen at one of the last Synergy shows, like to show that like I can wrestle. So that's what I want. The more of the message that I want to get out there more than anything really is to show that hybrid type style. If I'm not like going out like begging for a contract or anything, like, if it falls in my lap, if the cards line up right, then sure, it'd be great. Like, AEW and Ring of Honor are probably like the two main places that I would like to be. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot now. The way the landscape in wrestling's changed. Like, WWE isn't necessarily the place to be anymore. There's so many different places to go. It's a different landscape now. I said Ring of Honor, AEW, Impact. I think Impact are doing some great work.
Or Impact, yeah. I feel like I would really enjoy being in AEW too, because I have a lot of friends there. Like most of the people, I know most of the people on that roster, so I feel like that'd be a great place. But I feel like Ring of Honor would be. I mean, they're leaning more towards like the pure wrestling style, and I feel like that'd be really interesting for me to like get my feet wet and that type of stuff. Like I feel like that'd be really cool. So
yeah, well, we've been really enjoying because we've had Kerry Silkin is actually a regular on our show. We've had him on 3 times in the last 2 months. And Kerry himself was saying about the pure championship tournament, and he said it sort of reignited his love as well for the business, this pure tournament. And I think again that was something you could definitely showcase yourself in.
Yeah, I think so. I would love to do that. Honestly, I really would.
Well, we'll have a wait around mate Kerry for you. Don't you worry.
I will make Kerry.
But no, man, honestly, we're going to be watching Synergy next week. I said to Colin when we had him on, I actually get paid on the day of Black Friday. So I'm going to be watching Synergy, shitload of beer, pizza, watching you defend and obviously retain the championship. It's going to be...
I'd honestly rather be doing that than wrestling. Can I just come over and drink beer and eat pizza?
Yeah.
And watch whoever takes my place.
Well, here's an idea. Just what? Callum's got some wrestling experience. Send Callum over. He can wrestle. You can have some pizza with me. We'll be fine.
That's a great idea. And then we could watch the fight stream or IWTV stream as it happens.
And watch me get absolutely rinsed. All right. You know what? I'd do it. I would do it. I'd do one last match. Because it would be the retirement match that nobody asked for. Let's do it.
Excellent. You are now interim Synergy champion. Congratulations.
Yes. The boyhood dream has come true.
I'll ship you the belt. I'll put it in the mail tomorrow. I'll ship you the belt.
Can't believe it.
You do realize that's probably going to go in his Twitter bio now. You do realize that.
Updating it already, mate. Interim Synergy champion. I'm gonna go do a podcast interview as the Synergy champion now. So, cheers, mate.
Excellent.
No, man. Obviously, before we let you go, please, plug your social media. Any merch you have got already. Black Friday next week.
Black Friday, Synergy Wrestling. Black Friday next week. Socials, let me see. Twitter is _Kirk, and Instagram is _Brandon Kirk. There are imposters, so that's why I searched the real. And most of my merch, I don't really have anything online right now, so just at shows or DM me on social media. I'll send you what I got. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because we're going to sort that out for you, man. We're going to sort that out for you.
Please, I need help.
And of course, be a good husband, please. Feel free to plug your wife as well. Tell everybody where they can find her.
Oh, what is her? Hold on.
I'll let you check it out. So it seems like you know what the handles are straight away.
Oh, I'm breaking up. On Twitter, she's at Catal Casey, and I think she's the same thing on Instagram. So go follow her on Instagram and Twitter.
Excellent. And we genuinely are looking forward to Synergy next week to see the power couple officially unveiled. It's going to happen. But, man, we really appreciate it. We definitely want to get you back on the show.
Anytime.
We appreciate it, man. Obviously, you've got to, fight this boy over here now because he's going to take that title off you as well by the sounds of it.
I don't think he's too concerned, but
yeah, I wouldn't be as well. I wouldn't be concerned, but no, dude, we really appreciate your time. We will definitely get you back on. We'll tell Colin how awesome you've been as well. But yeah, man, good luck next week with the title defense. We will speak to you again soon. He is Brandon Kirk. We are Ringsiders.